we have to talk about On Death with Julia Asante because
Yeah, we did Homer and Hopper.
I have to say this is a guilty pleasure of mine. This was quite an enjoyable interview to watch because she starts going on all these tangents about how she's lived 120 kind of lives, and you just realize, well, what kind of Traumalfador world do you live on?
Yeah,
Because she was going on and on
I
about
sort of
reincarnation and how she sees into the future too. She's such a nutcase, but she's an enjoyable nutcase.
yeah, I sort of put in my mind. I sort of twin this one with the Neiman one. Neiman comes off shrillish and a harpy, and out of touch in a certain way. Asante is nice, but she's just totally insane. I mean, she's the. I mean, and she's a nice woman, but about 5 or 10 minutes into it, I saw her website, and she uses a lot of pseudoscientific jargon, and it's part of my fault because I don't have all the time in the world. I'm not working at this moment, but usually I'm working. I am doing writing. I'm doing essays. I'm watching movies, doing reviews, and I come across something, or someone emails me something, Alex or you, and I say, "Oh, that's an interesting person. Maybe I'll interview them." If I had known she was going to be this way, I probably wouldn't have interviewed her. On the other hand, I have to say, it's she gives an interesting interview, but you about 4 or 5 minutes in, it only took 5 minutes or so. I'm saying, "Oh my gosh, she's batshit." And it's like okay, how am I going to at least make this entertaining? It gives a good, but the thing is, the interview succeeds in portraying someone who's totally wacky.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is. It is highly entertaining. I have to say, her views, just how she brushes off a lot of the things you say. It's not the same way Neiman did, where she was rude about it. She's just, no, Dan, that's not true. And then it's almost like she thinks that she's a Nostradamus or something, and is predicting future events. It's
yeah.
it. She goes on so many bizarre tangents. It's almost uncountable. It's also for wine and drink aficionados. Also a good game for any time she says something wacky, you take a swift.
Yeah.
And not only would you be plastered, but you'd also be probably in the hospital by the end of it.
And so the Pursuit of Wisdom was, another good solid show. The Led Zeppelin one, I originally had three guys. I ended up with one, and he had to cut the show short. And so that's a good solid show, a review, but it's not what it could have been or I wanted to. The Marina Bruno show I enjoyed. She's someone that I think has a lot of potential. I mentioned the first guy, Michael Jason Allen, and I think Marina has a lot of potential. If you saw some of the website of hers I linked to, and you see some of her short films, I see influences there. And it's interesting, when I asked her, she said she didn't watch a lot of the things I see direct influences from. But it's interesting, she would be more familiar, though, with other people who were influenced by these other people. So she
Mm-hmm.
might have been influenced by some silent film techniques 3 or 4 directors removed, and it comes backwards. And what she did is, in the person who might have seen something in a Buster Keaton or a Charlie Chaplin silent film, you'll see a director from the 40s, a director from the 60s, a director from the 90s that influence each other. She's only seen the director from the 90s, and by that time, the great gag, or the great technique that was great in Chaplin has been diluted to such a point. But she then takes that and she makes the watered down dilution better in her little short films, and that shows me this girl has a good mind, and she has something going for her. And like Jessica asked me, well, why did you interview her? She's only 20 years old. She's not, Jessica will say something like, she can't help you do this, that, or the other. She's not going to help the website. She's not that great a filmmaker yet. I said, that's not the point. The point is she has the potential. And you watch and you listen to her talk about it. Yeah, in some ways she does come off as a little 20-year-old girl, but but there
It's
are
more
those.
just getting her name out there and showing how she was at the beginnings of her career than it is in terms of what she says, because what she says, it doesn't really have any depth. It's not bad by any means. It's just kind of, every once in a while an airheaded comment comes in, or a time where she's oblivious of of the influences that she's around. But the fact that she has made a few good short films and that they obviously are rebelling against some of the standard notions of how to tell a tale, and she's always looking for twists in the tale. That is the point of this interview.
Yeah. And then I did one on consciousness with Francis X. Sherray. The Federico Fellini one had some good points. The Irwin Shaw one, it was a good interview.
Except for when one of them posited that Intervista of
Oh, yeah.
all his films is a great film.
Yeah,
that was a cringe-inducing moment.
I know. It's like, oh, come on. Now, those are those kinds of moments that if I was the guest and not the host, I would have ripped these people new assholes. But you have a fundamentally different duty as the moderator or the host than you do as the guest or the interviewee. If I was on a panel with you and a moron, and we're talking about a subject about Robinson Jeffers or Fellini or whatever, and someone said something like that, let them say their stupid thing. Then you could rip them, and then I could just annihilate them, and I wouldn't feel any guilt about it. But I can't do that because you don't want someone to sort of get miffed or want to stop the show. You have to sort of, like I said, give them enough string, let them hang themselves, and let the corpse swing. There's nothing really more that you can do about that.